Hello students, today's topic is teeth selection for completely edentulous patients, part 3 about posterior teeth selection. Earlier we had seen about selection of anterior teeth in which we had discussed about size, shape, color and material and various methods to determine these factors and about pre-extraction records and about dentogenic concept. Today's topic we are going to discuss about posterior teeth selection. Like in anterior teeth selection, posterior teeth are selected for color, buccolingual width, mesodistal width, length of teeth, cuspal inclination, and type of material. Color. Posterior teeth are usually uniform in color. They may be slightly lighter than the canines. Mostly they are similar to the color of incisors. Buccolingual width. The buccolingual width of artificial teeth should be greatly reduced from the widths of the natural teeth they replace. They should be large enough to act as a table upon which to hold the food during trituration. Narrow occlusal surface provides proper escape ways for food and also helps in correct development of polished surfaces of the denture by allowing the buccal and lingual denture flanges to slope away from the occlusal surfaces. This also helps in retaining the denture on their residual ridge. Mesiodistal width. The total dimension of posterior teeth are determined by the length of edentulous area between the distal of the mandibular cuspid, that is canine, and ascending area of the mandible. The ascending area of the mandible is usually situated anterior to the retromolar pad. If the teeth are placed on the ascending area of the mandible, forces would be directed at an inclined plane. These forces are more dislodging than forces directed at right angles to the support. After the 6 anterior teeth have been placed in their final position, a point is marked on the crest of the mandibular ridge where the ridge starts ascending. A ruler can be used to measure from the distal surface of the mandibular canine to the point that has been marked at the end of the available space. The total mesodistal width in millimeter of the 4 posterior teeth is often used as the mold number. Posterior teeth should not be too close to the posterior border of the maxillary denture because of the danger of cheek biting. Vertical length of buccal surfaces of posterior teeth. The length of maxillary first premolars should be comparable to that of maxillary canine to have the proper aesthetic effect. It is best to select the posterior teeth corresponding to the intraarch space and to the length of anterior teeth. Artificial posterior teeth are made by manufacturer in varying occlusocervical lengths. Cuspal inclination or cuspal angle. The cuspal inclination is measured as the angle formed by the mesiobuccal cusp of lower first molar with the horizontal plane. As you can see in this picture, whichever angulation the mesiobuccal cusp makes, that determines the cuspal angle. It can be 20 degrees or 30 degrees or 33 degrees, it depends. According to the cuspal inclination, posterior teeth can be divided into three main groups, namely anatomic or 33-degree teeth, semi-anatomic or 20-degree teeth, non-anatomic or 0-degree teeth. The use of different cuspal inclination for posterior teeth depends on the plan of occlusion selected by the dentist. That is, whether balancing of contacts in centric and eccentric positions are achieved or not. Type of material. This we had already discussed in anterior teeth selection. We'll just brush through. Available materials can be vacuum fight porcelains, acrylic resin, improved acrylic resins, and metallic occlusal surfaces. Porcelain teeth. For many years, porcelain was the favorite tooth material. It has the following advantages: resistance to wear and no change in vertical dimension, resistant to staining, allows for total rebasing procedures. Problems encountered with porcelain teeth are chipping or fracture of the teeth, have sharp impact sound, can cause abrasion to opposing gold crowns and natural teeth, no bonding with base material, potential for marginal staining due to capillary leakage. Acrylic resin teeth. These are indicated in the following situations: when opposing dentition is natural teeth, when there is less amount of intraspace which requires reduction of teeth. Advantages: less likely to chip or fracture, chemical bonding with denture base, adjustments in length and width to achieve aesthetic requirements are possible. So you can always trim this teeth and adjust it. Disadvantages: wear is clinically significant, loss of vertical dimension due to wear, loss of chewing efficiency over a period of time. Hard acrylic resin teeth. New acrylic resin teeth are developed to overcome the disadvantages of loss of resistance to wear and staining. Metal occlusal surfaces. These are indicated when they oppose natural or teeth whose occlusal surfaces have been restored with gold. The gold occlusal surfaces are cast over the acrylic resin teeth. Functionally generated path technique is commonly used. So this is about posterior teeth selection. Now we will look into posterior tooth forms. So what are all the forms they are available through the history? As you know, the teeth can be of three types: anatomic teeth or 33-degree teeth, modified anatomic teeth or between 30 to 0 degrees, and non-anatomic teeth or 0-degree teeth, also called as cuspless teeth. So posterior tooth forms. 33-degree teeth. In 1913, Dr. Alfred Geissy of Switzerland carved the first anatomic porcelain tooth, marketed by Dentist Supply Company and were called TrueBite. They have transverse ridges for tight interdigitation. Pilkington and Turner's 30-degree teeth. They allow for small degree of freedom in protrusive but tight interlocking in lateral excursions. Modified anatomic teeth, that is in between 30 and 0. In 1927, Geisy also introduced the cross-bite teeth. Maxillary buccal cusp was almost eliminated, resulting one prominent lingual cusp that occluded into lower anatomic tooth form. As you can see in this picture, the buccal cusp was almost eliminated. Channel teeth. In 1928, Victor Sears introduced channel teeth. Maxillary occlusal surfaces consists of deep channel that run mesiodistally. Lower posteriors are half of width in buccolingually. Scissors bite teeth. Avery Brothers in 1930 introduced scissors bite teeth. The posterior occlusal surfaces locked anteroposteriorly and free in lateral excursion. As you can see in this picture, they can't move anteroposteriorly. McGrain curved cusp teeth. In 1936, McGrain marketed a tooth which he called the curved cusp posterior tooth. This design locked anteroposteriorly but free in laterally in an arc corresponding to an arbitrary radius from vertical rotational axis of condyles. Pleasure's curve. This is asked many times in your university exams too. In 1937, Max Pleasure proposed to modify the lower posterior teeth occlusal surfaces to a reverse curve by tilting the tooth buccally. So he has given reverse curve in premolars, flat occlusal surface on first molars, and a Monson curve in second molar for balance. Metal inserts by John Vincent. John Vincent in 1942 introduced a change in materials by using metal inserts in resin posteriors. Originally, gold solder wire and later stainless steel was used. Cross blade teeth by Sosin. In 1961, Sosin replaced maxillary second bicuspid and first and second molars with cleat-shaped Vitalium forms called cross blades. Levin modified this scheme by reducing the size of cross blade to the maxillary lingual cusps. Coming to non-anatomic teeth. Hall inverted cusp teeth. In 1929, Hall was the first to design cuspless teeth he called inverted cusp tooth. Tooth was flat with concentric cone-shaped depressions on occlusal surface. Meyerson true cusp. This had a series of transverse buccolingual ridges. Nelson's chopping block teeth. In 1934, Nelson described teeth he called chopping blocks, which were flat occlusal surfaces with numerous ridges. Ridges on mandibular teeth ran transversely and on maxillary they ran mesiodistally. Hardy's Vitalium occlusal. This is again very important, asked many times. In 1946, Hardy designed a metal insert upper and lower posterior, which he called Vitalium occlusal. Marketed by Austenal Company and are still in use. produced in resin blocks of 3 posterior teeth with a narrow Vitalium ribbon on it. As you can see in this picture, block of 3 posterior teeth with Vitalium ribbon on the occlusal surface. Meyerson's shear cusp tooth. In 1951, Meyerson Tooth Corporation introduced the first cross-linked acrylic teeth in a flat occlusal scheme called the shear cusp teeth. Sears and Meyerson's proposed a combination of porcelain and acrylic occlusal scheme. Co-masticators by Cook. In 1952, co-masticators designed by Cook. Second premolars and first molars were flat stainless steel castings with holes on the occlusal surface diagonally. These teeth occlude with flat upper porcelain teeth. Finally, cutter bars by Bader. In 1957, Bader introduced cutter bar scheme by opposing upper porcelain cuspless teeth with metal cutting bar replacing second premolar, first and second molar. Similar to Sear channel tooth, except the maxillary molars were flat. So this completes the selection of posterior teeth and posterior tooth forms. Thank you all.